BG, was that a fair trade for the merchant of debt? I know you kill it on the court, but he kills it in real life. Is it true you had to have sex with Vladimir Putin to get released from Russia, Britt?
Get out of the way, dog.
Britt.
Get out of the way.
Britt, is it true you had to...
Get out of the way.
What about his wife?
What are you doing?
I'm trying to talk to Brittney. Hey, Britt.
Like this.
Do you still want to boycott America, Brittney?
Stop.
Well, get off me.
Stop. Stop.
I'm weird. Why? She hates America. What about the merchant of debt, Britt? Get off me.
Stop, dude.
Get off me. Was that a fair trade for the merchant of debt? I know you killed it on the court, but he killed it in real life.
What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from the corner. Remember, was it last week we talked about this woke podcaster on Spotify who can't even crack the top 200? And look, any normal, like regular person not making the top 200 on Spotify is not a burn. It's not an insult. But when you're Jemele Hill and you're a former ESPN and then Washington Post, this woman can't keep a job because clearly nobody likes her. But you have the entirety of Spotify's marketing team, mainstream media, the entire woke establishment all pushing you, and you still can't break the top 200. You become a pretty bitter woman. Jemele Hill is a multi-millionaire who LARPs as a victim. There are many people like this on the left. Sean King. There is, really anybody like Jemele Hill who is super rich, but constantly talking about how being black is extremely difficult and oppressive for her. She had a absolute meltdown after criminal and loser Brittney Griner had to field a few questions at an airport. Now, internet entertainer Alex Stein had a few questions for Brittney Griner. By the way, the same type of questions any reporter would ask. And not only did the WNBA have a meltdown, every athlete melted down, saying now all of these women, they have to take chartered flights because they might get asked a question.
Like this.
Do you still want to boycott America, Brittney?
Stop.
Well, get off me.
Stop.
I love that Alex is like, get off me. The security does not have any right to put their hands on him. He's in a public space and he's allowed to ask questions.
Stop.
I'm weird. Why? She hates America. What about the merchant of debt, Britt?
Now, famously, Brittney Griner, our idiot president, traded an actual evil human being, somebody who was in charge of arming, the types of groups that would go into small villages and eradicate everybody, for somebody who couldn't stay off the weed, as Stephen A. Smith would say. I have no problem with weed at all. In fact, I think it's awesome. However, if it is illegal and you're in Russia, maybe wait to score a couple of those sweet pens when you land. Any idiot could find herb in any town, in any city in this entire globe. But because Brittney Griner couldn't be bothered to take the things out of her gym bag, she got on an airplane and got caught. All right. There are people, hundreds of people every day that fly out of Denver and all these other cities and think they're slick bringing it back. I pray, I pray they never get caught. But this is the decision that people make. I don't think, by the way, just so we're all clear, I don't think it should be illegal anywhere. It should be federally legal. However, these are the laws. And you would think, as somebody who is not a citizen of that country, in particular Russia, you might consider being extra careful there, especially when we're literally funding a proxy war against them with Ukraine. But that's neither here nor there. So Jemele Hill has an absolute meltdown about this, saying, wouldn't happen if these players were able to fly chartered flights during the regular season. Essentially what moronic opinion Jemele Hill has here is, look, the WNBA is not entertaining. It is, to some people, there is probably tens of fans that would enjoy watching the WNBA. But it is a factual statement to say in the 20 years that WNBA has been around, it has never made a dime. It has been constantly subsidized by the NBA, and this league will probably never make money. And that's just a fact. So Jamel, give me $100 million or I'm leaving Spotify. Hill decides to say, well, they should have private jets. They should have private jets for the players in a league that is making no money. So I simply replied, they can't afford it because nobody pays to watch them play and nobody buys their merch. The WNBA has lost money every single year in its existence. They should be riding their bikes to the game. That's what I said. And Jamel, ooh, did she get angry? So she went farming into her replies to find me saying, biological men competing against biological women in sports is unfair and robs women who work their whole lives to compete at a high level any real fair shake. By the way, is this supposed to be an own? I gained hundreds of followers after she tried to quote tweet dunk on me. She writes, isn't it funny how the protect women's sports crowd is very okay with female athletes receiving substandard treatment? I never said I thought Brittney Griner should get substandard treatment. I actually said Brittney Griner should still be in prison in Russia. That's what my opinion is. If you want to quote tweet me and try to ascribe my opinion, Jamili Hill, maybe consider getting it right. I believe we never should have traded the literal merchant of death for this loser. Okay, is that clear enough? All right. And by the way, it is my opinion that Brittney Griner probably was in a men's prison. I don't know that. It's just my opinion. But there are a lot of pictures floating around the internet that makes me question a lot. But anyway, I don't think they should get substandard. I think the WNBA is getting overpaid. This is evident by facts. She was on, they should get substandard when it comes to facilities, salary, and generally things that would improve the game. I never said any of that. Jamel Hill is actually just a stupid liar race grifter. Okay, I never said any of those things. I never said the WNBA should have substandard facilities, salary, or things that would improve the game. You know what would improve the game? Men. Nobody cares about the WNBA, and they earn more than they're worth. Now, do I think, and by the way, all of this is because one dude asked her 2 questions at an airport. But they're loud as F when they can use a woman to promote their own bigotry. So then she calls me a bigot too. A lot of the replies, if your league isn't profitable, why would you expect the same facilities, salaries, etc. as a business that brings in billions of dollars? And Jamel's big brain take is, do you think the NBA waited for their teams were profitable to invest in players? Yes, I do. I think that there were lots of years that the NBA players flew regular standard flights, or they took buses, or they weren't flying on no team jets in the beginning, right? It's been 20 plus years and the WNBA has continued to be unprofitable. I'm not saying it should go away. She's like, oh, and then Woke decides his point still stands on financials. You can muddy the water all you want, Jamel, but people see right through this. Women's basketball's raking in even more cash than ever, but the players aren't. Yeah, because you went from 4 jersey sales to 8. I mean, again, I'm not saying the WNBA shouldn't exist. I'm just saying, and just so everyone's clear, I think Brittney Griner should still be in prison in Russia. And secondly, I don't like Jamel Hill. She is a race grifter and a coward. She didn't address my point. She just quote tweeted it, ascribed an opinion I did not say by saying I think that they deserve a substandard facility or salary. I never said any of that. And I also never said that anything remotely close to bigotry. I simply pointed out the fact that nobody wants this product that the NBA keeps subsidizing every year because people don't want to call them sexist. Remember, Jamel Hill is leaving Spotify after daring company to pay a black host $100 million. Now, of course, who was she talking about? Herself. As she came out, by the way, Hill is no match for the 197th ranked Professor Cal's Audio Anya podcast, whatever that is. Jamel Hill titled her podcast, Jamel Hill is Unbothered, though the show was anything but a podcast from an unbothered host. In fact, she built the show around the hypothesis of literally how bothered she is with the state of the country, specifically how racist white America is. The episode is filled with unjust hysteria, featuring guests like Rabble Rouser Weirdo, Ellie Mistal, and we do mean Weirdo, who declared the Constitution trash on the program. Who doesn't want to hear two whiny multimillionaires decry the injustices they pretend to face? Based on Hill's ratings, not very many people. That's the thing. Spotify is clearly done subsidizing her garbage program. Sure, she has a few Twitter followers. Congratulations. That's actually pretty pathetic for somebody that used to be on ESPN but couldn't stop injecting politics into every little hot take, thus making ESPN's ratings plummet and force her own firing, to now she can't even hang on to a Spotify podcast. But maybe it's because she's a literal lie machine. Maybe people don't want to listen to somebody who's a literal liar. That's probably what. Here you go, Alex, I'll take two things that have nothing to do with each other for $500. You get paid for what you earn, for what your product is worth. The WNBA is boring and sucks. Nobody wants to pay for it. And that's why their players are forced to fly commercial. Now, we don't even know if that flight was on the way to a WNBA game where tens of fans were eagerly anticipating getting their free, redeeming their free bucket of popcorn and free soda they got with their free ticket to fill the stadium. Keep that race grift up, though, Jamel. It's very profitable in 2020. Hopefully someday someone will see you as a victim, like you so desperately plead and hope for. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to leave a like on it. If you haven't yet, please do subscribe down below, and we'll talk to you again real soon.